Ready? Matt, are you good? All right, it's 7 o'clock. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening for our school board candidate town hall. On behalf of the school district, I'd like to welcome you. I'd also like to welcome in our online audience. So those of you who are viewing from home, we welcome you this evening. This town hall will be available on our website for 1 week. So it will be available for replay for 1 week. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our moderator for this evening, Ms. Renee Dietrich. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. Hello and welcome. This is the Wilson School Board Candidates Forum. The election is on Tuesday, November the 7th, and the polls are open from 7 in the morning till 8 at night. Now, if you want to vote absentee, you have until October the 31st as the deadline to apply for an absentee ballot, so now's the time. Now, in addition to school board members, Berks Countyans have a lot of things on the ballot this year. We're going to elect a judge of the Court of Common Pleas, a prothonotary, a treasurer, a coroner, judges for the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, Superior Court, and Commonwealth Court. There are also 4 questions about the retention of judges, and there's a very important ballot question. It deals with amending the Pennsylvania Constitution for changes in the local property tax. And when you came in, there were some handouts there which describe the ballot question. That's very, very important. But you came to hear about the Wilson School Board, so let's get along here. The candidates are seated in ballot order. They are Becky Ellis, who is a Democrat, Steph Cocker, who is cross-filed. That means she's on both the Republican and the Democratic ballot. Ed Case, who's cross-filed. Amy Kennedy, cross-filed. And Jason Hopp, who is an incumbent, who is on the Republican ballot. The Wilson School District has 4 school directors, and only 4 will be elected. Now, what do school directors do? Well, school directors govern the school district. They set policy, they establish curricula, they adopt a budget, they determine a tax rate necessary to support it, they hire and support administrators of the school district, and they serve a 4-year term. The salary for this job is 0. It's a non-paying position. So that's important to note, that they're giving all that service. Now, what's the format for our program tonight? Well, we're going to begin with a 1-minute opening statement, which will allow each candidate to say why he or she is running. Then we have several questions to ask of all the candidates. And we ask the candidates to limit their responses to 2 minutes. And we do have timers over here. When we get to 15 seconds to go, they'll hold up a yellow card. Do you have a yellow card so the candidates know, right? And then when the time's up, they'll hold up the red card so you know to stop. Now, I'm not going to stop you in the middle of a sentence, but when you get to the end, I will remind you that time's up. And if you don't need the whole 2 minutes, it's okay. You can stop when you're done talking. And then each candidate will have a 1-minute closing statement. They've been generous, and they've agreed that they will stay afterwards and answer questions that you might have that we haven't answered tonight. So that's our format, and let's begin. Make your 1-minute opening statement, and we'll begin with Ms. Ellis.
Hi, everyone. I'm Becky Ellis. I'm the proud mother of a Wilson senior. I graduated from Albright College with majors in international business, marketing, and Spanish. I also have a certificate in accounting. I spent 7 months in Chile as a student teacher. I work for Glengarry, where I am an applications analyst, a member of the Corporate Safety Committee. I am also a board member for Berks Parks and Recreation, and I love volunteering in park events as time allows. I am seeking elections so that I can bring fresh, new ideas to our school district and work to ensure a fair and equal education for our students while working towards enhanced communications within our district. I feel that the role of a school board member is to make educated decisions in the best interest of the school district, utilizing information obtained from teachers and district employees, students, and stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you. Steph?
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Steph Cocker. I'm a Wilson graduate. I was a math teacher in the district for 10 years, and I'm a parent of a kindergartner in the district. For the past 3 years, I've been a stay-at-home mom with my 2 children, and I decided to run for the school board because I want to contribute and make a difference in our community while I'm staying at home. I do eventually plan on going back to teaching because I can't imagine staying away for more than a couple years. The role of a school board member is to bring new ideas to the table in order to tackle challenges, to work effectively with other board members, and to provide students with a well-rounded education, all while maintaining a fiscally sound budget. I have had the opportunity to experience Wilson as a student, a teacher, and now a parent, and this combination of experiences has prepared me to make a meaningful contribution as a member of the board.
Thank you. Mr. Case, your opening statement.
Good evening. My name is Ed Case, and I'm running for Wilson School Board to build a more receptive, transparent, and diverse thinking school board for Wilson. All the while we also become one of the national leaders and state leaders of school districts within Pennsylvania and nationally. The role of a school board member is 3 parts, 3 core functions: legislative, where we do set policy and the vision for the school district and for the superintendent and their staff to manage the district. Also, from an administrative perspective, manage and approve the budgets for the school district. Also, negotiate a good faith contract with teachers in a timely manner. Also, hire the superintendent and their staff, and also hear judicial items where we hear formal appeals to students, staff, and parents. But the most important thing for a role for the school district, for a school board member, is to be an advocate for all students of Wilson. Thank you.
Okay. Let's continue then, and Amy Kennedy is next.
Thank you to Jillian and Mrs. Troutman and to everyone that was involved in organizing another town hall. My name is Amy Kennedy. I have been an educator for 20 years. After working at Whitfield Elementary from 1997 to 2010, I began to teach full-time as a professor in the College of Education at Kutztown University. Besides my undergraduate degree from Kutztown in elementary education, I hold a Master's of Science degree in Reading, Writing, Literacy from the University of Pennsylvania and a Doctor of Education in Reading from Widener University. I have 4 children. 3 are current students, one of whom is in special ed, and I have another current future Bulldog at home. I've lived in the district for 20 years, and I've been a homeowner for 17 years in both Lincoln Park and Lower Heidelberg. I think these experiences make me uniquely qualified to be on the Wilson School Board. I decided to run for school board now because this district is still paying the
Sorry,
salary.
time's up.
Oh, geez, I wasn't even paying attention. Sorry.
Mr. Hop.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jason Hopp. I have served on the Wilson School Board for 16 years. My wife, Stacy, and I have both graduated from Wilson. We have 3 children. Taylor, who's a freshman at Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge. I have a daughter, Amber, who's in 10th grade here at Wilson, and a son, Brendan, in 7th grade at West. I am currently Vice President and General Counsel at Redner's Markets in Blandon, Pennsylvania. I formerly have served as a borough councilman in Sinking Spring, and I am a former criminal prosecutor as an assistant district attorney in Berks County. I believe that strong public schools form the basis of strong communities, and I emphasize public schools. And I believe that's why Wilson and the Wilson community has such a positive reputation that it has, is because of our strong public school system. And as a school director, I believe that is our ability to continue that pathway. Thank you.
Now, these questions, we will allow 2 minutes to respond to. And Steph Cocker is our first person, and this is the question. What do you see as the opportunities facing the Wilson School District? That's opportunities, so 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. The Wilson School District has a long-standing reputation of outstanding academic performance. We are consistently ranked in the top districts in the county and are currently ranked 50 out of 500 schools in Pennsylvania. There's a plethora of opportunities for students in sports, community service, exchange programs, technology, art, music, JROTC. Wilson students are well-rounded because they receive a well-rounded education. The Wilson School District is also one of the top employers in the county, ranked 11 last year. That means that in all of Berks County, only 10 entities employ more than our district. Wilson is truly a centerpiece for our community in multiple ways. One thing that I think the district could do to further our community outreach is to create more educational opportunities for residents. When I was an algebra teacher, I held a math night for parents. As you can imagine, not too many showed up. But I had parents come, I had a small group, come once a month to school, and I taught them the topics that their children were learning in my class. That way, when they went home, they were able to help their child, and they were able to hopefully set a more positive tone in their household when it came to math. This year, Wilson Southern is pairing with RAC in order to utilize more of their classrooms after school, and RAC is holding classes, evening classes at the school. So this helps the school financially, and it also is helpful to the community because they're, if they so choose, able to walk to Southern from the surrounding areas and take advantage of these classes. There are so many opportunities for the school to better our community, and I hope to bring more ideas to our already positive efforts.
Thank you. Mr. Case.
I see a lot of opportunity for Wilson. One thing I'd like to focus on as an opportunity is the iGen generation that we have. There's a lot of news and reports in the media today with the iGen generation. The kids that are coming through are the first group of kids that have been raised on iPads and social networks, and there's a lot of depression and anxiety as a preteen and teenager in our district and across lots of districts. So I'd like to see an opportunity for Wilson to embrace this challenge, if you will, or this opportunity to become one of the leading role model school districts for tackling this issue. When we were younger, we used to sit near a telephone, maybe wait for the big party, and we really wouldn't know what was going on and what we missed if we just sat home. In today's environment, kids see social media and they see what group they're not included in. They see all these pictures from things that are going on, and it is causing the depression and the anxiety, suicidal thoughts. And right now, Wilson is one of the one of two school districts in all of Berks County that does not fully fund their STEP program. I think we really, in order to become a role model, we need to start there with that opportunity and become a role model school district to tackle this issue. That's one opportunity. There's several other opportunities. I'd like to see Wilson become a leader in not just PSSA scores for math and science, but also for engaging in arts and music and theater, and have a good balance with that, becoming a leader in that nationally. As well as other opportunities where I understand there's an auditorium that we need to update. I'd also like to see an opportunity for resources being divided equally amongst the school districts, such as like Wilson Southern School District, maybe getting more open, airy, windowed environment in that school. And thank you, amongst other things.
Okay, next, please. Dr. Kennedy?
Wilson's pride is our children. We have the opportunity to create a generation of students who love to learn to read and love to learn, and who are critical thinkers and problem solvers. With the increasing diversity in our district, we have the opportunity to create a generation of students who embrace and celebrate cultural differences and all come together to become part of the Bulldog family. With the incredible selection of extracurricular activities offered here at Wilson, we can create another generation of well-rounded citizens. The possibilities are endless if we see students for who they are, not just test scores or points on a data plot. The district also has a great opportunity right now to do right by its teachers. Next to students, I think the teachers are the most positive force in this district. We need to return our classrooms back to teachers and away from mindless test prep and scripted curriculums. We should especially be utilizing our teachers who have been here before the No Child Left Behind debacle that has undermined the fabric of education. Teachers who teach students, not data points. Teachers who know developmentally appropriate instruction. Teachers who know that getting a child to learn to love reading and love learning is far more important than a score on a standardized test. Returning teacher autonomy is paramount to increasing teacher morale. I think that utilizing the community as a whole is another opportunity in the district. This district benefits greatly from parent and community support. When the teachers are able to do their jobs to the best of their ability, they feel good about what they do, and this enthusiasm spreads throughout the community and creates a whole community passionate about learning that feels like an extended part of the Bulldog family.
Thank you. Mr. Hop.
When we were given this question, I tried to look at it as, what is our opportunities? So basically, what can we achieve? I think it's simple. We can achieve greatness. We're good, but we can be great, and there's no reason we can't be. And the perfect example of that is Shiloh Hills Elementary School. The entire school district at Wilson has 30% economically disadvantaged kids. So the basic demographic of diversity at Wilson is 60% white, 40% non-white, or 70-30, something like that approximately. Shiloh Hills, under the school performance profile, is exactly the same thing. Same economic numbers, same diversity numbers. And they've achieved what only 350 schools in the nation have achieved, blue ribbon school status, through hard work of the teaching staff and the administration. Greatness isn't easy. It takes commitment. It takes balancing the needs of students with taxpayers' concerns. We can all promise the world and put money at a certain project, but if that project's data doesn't show that it is proving and showing results, then we need to ask ourselves, do we want to do that? Because whether we like it or not, the Pennsylvania Department of Education tells us what we are required to teach our students. We can argue till the cows come home whether it's right or wrong. That's the law, and that is our obligation. And until the law changes, that's what we're graded on. We can disagree with it, and there's many valid arguments against it. But what we need to do is we need to give as much creativity and deference to our teachers in the classroom to teach that core curriculum in a way that they can reach out to all students. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Ellis?
I see tremendous opportunities for growth and communication within our school district. I was impressed by Dr. Richard Bailey's involvement with our students in riding the school bus on the first day of school. I believe that his involvement should set a precedent for the school board members to get more involved in the day-to-day activities of the district if they are not already teachers within the district. For example, my goal, should I be elected to the school board, would be to spend a half a day at each of the schools in our district each calendar year. I want to know what day-to-day challenges the teachers face, listen to the comments from the students, and speak with other faculty and staff, including bus drivers, cafeteria workers, and custodial staff, to better understand how we can help them and strive towards continuous improvement in the quality of the education and environment of our students. Communication between the school district and the public is key moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, the other side of that is, what do you see as the challenges facing our school district? And Mr. Case, you're first.
We have several challenges. I'll focus on one particular one right now is special education. Our school district spends a lot of money on special education. Not only money, we spend resources, time, administrative costs, and just trying to manage the special education needs of the children in our district. One thing, and I've been educating myself, talking to quite a few parents with children with special needs, and in my simple thinking, I was like, well, why don't, instead of spending all this money on sending our kids elsewhere because we can't provide what the children need, why don't we build a facility and hire all these special ed teachers and have people be brought to Wilson, you know, where we can sort of turn this into a private center while we're helping kids. And I was quickly educated on all the differences of special needs children and how there's so many different factions and levels that you can't do it all in a costly manner. So what I would like to see is a big challenge to overcome this, and maybe Wilson's doing this already, but we need more of it, is to partner with other school districts within Berks County, whether it's government, and basically create centers of excellence. Whether that's Governor Mifflin deals with autism at a high spectrum level, and Why Missing deals with autism at other spectrum levels or behavioral, whatever. But if we partner with other Berks County facilities, and maybe we use the BCIU for that, or maybe this is again happening already, we need to do more of this. So not only does that help our students, but it also helps the parents and the students spend less time in a car traveling to far destinations for this education and to be more focused where they live. So I think that's a big challenge. I think there's some cost savings potentially there. And again, could be perception, I don't know. But some other things, thank you. We are losing some of our best teachers to other districts. We've lost 18 teachers in the last 4 months. I think that's a challenge we need to overcome, and we believe we need to close the gap on the teacher contract and build our trust back with our teachers, who are the front lines of our district. Thank you.
Dr. Kennedy.
The challenges are really interconnected with the opportunities. Right now, one of the biggest challenges is teacher turnover and low teacher morale. We need to not only do a good job of attracting the best and brightest new teachers, but we need to keep them here. We are losing far too many young teachers that are leaving for opportunities at other districts. And perhaps even more alarming is that we're losing so many fantastic teachers who are retiring far sooner than they need to be, or even they want to. Too many teachers who still have many good years left are leaving because teaching isn't what it used to be. I'm one of these teachers. I can't tell you how many of my former colleagues tell me that they miss the Wilson way. We need to create or recreate an educator and child-friendly climate at Wilson again, where teachers feel valued and heard and a part of the decision-making process. Teaching needs to be treated like the art it is. Teachers feel like their backs are up against the wall and they must produce test results for fear of losing their jobs. Just as teachers are feeling stressed, so are students. It's hard to pick up the paper or scroll through Facebook and not read a report on the increasing anxiety levels of students. I spent the summer watching a friend's daughter constantly doing homework over the summer. Every single time I saw her, she had a notebook or a laptop in her hand. She was stressed in the middle of summer about school. How is this healthy and productive? Why are young students like my son afraid to move up to 3rd grade for fear they'll flunk the PSSAs and get held back a year? Why do 1st or 2nd graders even know what the PSSAs are? We should not be reducing recess time to add instructional time. We should not be sending test prep packets or study island home for homework for especially our youngest learners. What kind of culture are we creating when learning equals stress? Another challenge is the rapid growth of the communities surrounding the district. As a teacher who had 28 students in her last 1st grade class and whose child had 28 students in his class, I can tell you that huge class size is not conducive to learning.
Challenges.
The challenges at Wilson currently are the same challenges that all of us are experiencing at our dinner tables when we're looking over our bills, or small business owners are looking at in terms of paying payroll, is you have limited revenue and increasing expenses. For example, since I've been on the school board, our special education costs, which are mandated by federal law, have gone up 300%. And the funding for that has gone up maybe 5%. That's part of the problem. Second problem is PSERS, which is basically the state pension system. It's not the teacher pension system, it's the state pension system. When I started on the school board, basically Wilson had to contribute 5% of a teacher's gross salary and would get reimbursed half. Now, this year, it's about 33%, and we get reimbursed for half. Yet the revenues are staying the same or going down. Those are the problems. Limited revenues, increased expenditures. When we have 90% our expenses locked in, 72% of our expenses are payroll and benefits, 18% are special education costs, and we can't control them except if you lay off teachers, and we're not going to do that. So that's the downside. The plus side is we can be great. And what we have to do is be innovative in what we're doing in terms of using data to have success in our individual schools, our individual classrooms, see what's working, see what's not working, and move forward that way. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Ms. Ellis, what's your response?
Excuse me, is attracting and retaining quality educators is one of the main challenges that I see facing our district. Wilson School District is renowned for its quality education, with the most recent honor coming from Shiloh Hills Elementary School, which was named a National Blue Ribbon School, an exemplary high-performing school for 2017. Shiloh Hills is one of 42 schools in the nation and one of 18 schools from Pennsylvania to receive this honor. However, per information that I obtained at the last school board meeting, our teachers have been working without a contract for the past 4 months. 18 teachers have left our district in the past 4 months. The starting salaries for teachers in our district is in the bottom third of schools in the county. Teachers had stated that they have been waiting since June for a counter-proposal from the school board. My goal would be to improve communications, especially when it comes to contract negotiations between the school board and its employees, and to find out why we are losing quality educators within our district, why the starting pay is less than so many other schools in the district, and find ways to address this. An educated population is a great benefit to our area, and we need to make sure our tax dollars are being spent wisely to ensure that our district continues to thrive.
The number one challenge to our district, as well as almost every district in the area, is the underfunding from the state. Pennsylvania ranks 46th in the nation when it comes to the state's share of education funding. We should all be contacting our representatives on the state level in order to fix this critical problem. State mandates on what school district has to cover financially continue to increase, but funding for these programs are not allocated, which puts the burden on property taxes. So if the state's not paying, we are. Another challenge that we face is our current expired teacher contract, as most of the other candidates have mentioned. Our school will succeed or fail based on the work that teachers do day in and day out. And our teachers have been working for over 4 months without a new contract, and the message that this sends to our valued educators is not one of respect and appreciation. I work very hard to promote a positive relationship between the board and the teachers. There's also a hidden challenge that we will need to address in the as the next generation comes through our doors, and that is a need for balance between technology and traditional education. A lot of the students, as Mr. Case has mentioned, have technology almost 24 hours a day, and that's not necessarily always a positive thing. So we are a very fortunate district to have a one-to-one initiative with technology that each student has access to a tablet or Chromebook. That's great. Technology is the future. We need our students to be technology savvy. However, there's going to be a challenge in ensuring that there's a healthy balance between the use of technology and the use of paper pencil to traditional work. So we have to keep our eye on that as well. Thanks.
Next question is, how will you build consensus and support in the community around the work of the school district? And I believe, Dr. Kennedy, you're first on that.
I would like to meet regularly with teachers and support staff and administration to gauge the district's needs. I think the district needs to institute a climate survey to faculty, staff, and parents. I would also invite members of the Wilson community to come and discuss ideas with me. The district does a fantastic job of spreading information on social media, and I think we should continue to use social media for community building. I would continue to do so if elected as a Wilson School Board member. We need to continue to do as much community outreach as possible and invite all community members to participate. I love programs like the Wilson's Iron Chef competition because it encourages people from all parts of the community to come, even if they don't have students in the school. I would like to invite community members to many Wilson functions at schools where they can see what great things are going on and what our students and teachers are doing. I think that when people feel welcome, wanted, and heard, they participate in activities at Wilson, that they will feel more invested in the school system, even if they don't have current students. When everyone feels heard, it's easier to build consensus. I would also not put any motions or plans through that I didn't feel were important, valuable, and necessary. I would make sure that I did my homework and research along with opening up discussion with teachers and community members to make sure that it is the best idea for the whole district. And it is also important to regard decision-making not as a once-and-done thing, but as an ongoing process that needs teacher and community support.
Mr. Hop?
Building consensus, obviously by definition, requires all of us to work together. And through that requires compromise. Compromise by every stakeholder group in terms of their special interests and needs. Because strong, as I said in my opening statement, strong public schools form the foundation of a strong community. And as part of building this public consensus, it requires education. Like, for example, we need to get this contract resolved. And we need to address why certain salaries for certain things are where they're at. We also need to communicate how it got that way. For example, in the negotiation that was collectively bargained, the school district gave the union a pot of funds and said, you assign that money to the salaries at the salary schedules you want them at. So if the salary range is low for a certain level, we all then need to ask the union why that is, because they're the ones who pick the salary schedule. That's part of the education process, is we all need to work together and compromise to what's the greater good of this community. Because all we need to look at is our neighboring communities, such as Daniel Boone, that, for example, had a recent teacher contract that almost bankrupted that district. It makes us feel good to pay people a lot of money, but we need to all compromise and work together to what's the best interest of Wilson. Because at the end of the day, our motto is we need to address and focus on our kids, and we can't do that if we can't get as many teachers as possible into those classrooms. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Ellis?
Support around the work of the school district, one has to be involved and listen to the voices of the community. I have a Facebook page and email address, Becky Ellis for Wilson SB, which I use not only to state what I have been doing within our community, but I also try to use both as sounding boards for our community members. I welcome comments and concerns, and I've worked to address a concern which had arisen in the past few months involving parking in front of residences during school hours. I would suggest that in addition to the school email address that the board members currently have, that we also have a Facebook page so that community members could directly post issues and concerns to the page to be addressed by the board. In addition, I attend as many school functions as my schedule allows, interacting with community members. Whenever possible, I try and talk to teachers and employees of the district to try to ascertain issues of importance. I have also been attending Spring Township Board meetings and have attended a Sinking Spring Borough meeting to see and understand what is happening within our community firsthand. Attending functions such as the Citizens Police Academy for Spring Township, Wyomissing, and West Reading boroughs has also allowed me to gain additional knowledge of our community and the resources available to help those in need. It is important to be active in the community, to hear the wants and needs of our stakeholders, so that I can make the best possible decisions for our community as a board member.
Thank you. Okay, so Ms. Coker, please.
We need to advertise more of our strengths and talents as a school. I'm very proud of our school's athletic success, and our student athletes and coaches work extremely hard for those standings, but I would like to see our band, artists, STEM program, and other academic excellence treated in the same way. Every member of the community pays school taxes, even if they do not have a member of their household in the school system. And in order to achieve support for expanding programs, we need to show the community the amazing opportunities that we provide students. We should be advertising our successes through a variety of outlets in order to showcase our continued excellence and provide a sense of pride in the district. I would like to see more community input when it comes to new ideas on sharing information. I was speaking with a mother recently, a mother of a recent Wilson graduate, and she shared a great idea that would take very little time to implement. Her idea was to advertise, or at least have available online, a list of colleges that students have been accepted to. Along with this list, we could also include other post-secondary training, such as art schools and ROTC, and any other sort of professional training, because not everyone needs to go to college to have a fulfilling career. But I can't think of many professions that don't require some sort of post-secondary training or schooling. So that's just one small thing that a mother that I just happened to be talking to shared with me. That's the kind of openness and communication that I'm looking for. I'm very open to community input, and every community member has a slightly different experience and view of the district, and I want to hear from them, everyone, and I would like to hear any suggestions that anyone has to offer, and I would hope that I would be approachable and people would understand that I really am here to listen and take your ideas forward. Thank you.
Mr. Case, how would you build consensus and support?
Consensus is, it's hard work. It's not easy. There's a middle ground when building consensus. You can build consensus with a small group of people that are like-minded and call that consensus, or you can start bringing in a whole bunch of stakeholders and bog things down with long meetings and agree on nothing and get nothing done. So there is a middle ground with building consensus. So Wilson needs to provide an opportunity, a good faith opportunity, when we're doing things, whether that's hiring a new superintendent, redistricting, or building a new school or something, but to get people involved early and part of the solution instead of just saying, we're going to do this here. But that takes time. When people are part of the solution, they can understand why decisions are being made, and that's probably a much more important thing to provide for constituents of our district, is to have them understand why we're making decisions. And observing some of the school board meetings that I've seen, you sort of get these report outs where the meetings are about 30 minutes long, and you don't get a whole lot of understanding of why decisions are being made. Again, getting people involved in the process up front, getting them part of the solution, helps to build consensus. So with that being said, I feel I'm a pretty approachable person. I'm a coach in the district for many sports. My wife is a teacher, fantastic teacher in the district, so I get a lot of feedback from someone who's out, in the trenches, and we're very approachable. We can't walk to the grocery store without my wife being stopped by someone and talking about, their children or something like that. So it's great to be out there. That's why we moved to the district. I want to be a part of this community. So that's about building consensus. So, we do things like eating dinners, making sure we eat local, do a bunch of things local, so we are here and embedded. As long as you're approachable, people are going to come up to you and talk. So.
Okay, next question is, what specific steps would you take as a school board member to improve transparency and make school district information more widely available? And Mr. Hopp, you're first on that one.
Thank you. I think first, there seems to be sometimes a negative connotation with transparency that if all things aren't seen, there's some nefarious or evil intent. And I don't believe that's the case, because one of the things that I can say wholeheartedly is first, we don't get paid for this job. Secondly, everyone up here, while we might have philosophical differences, has a single goal in mind, and that's their vision of what's best for the Wilson School District. So then it's just ways in which we can effectuate those visions and communicate that to get our stakeholder buy-in. And some of those ways we're currently doing, and some of those ways we're trying to improve, and some of the things haven't even been implemented yet that I think we could do. The current updating of our website to make it more user-friendly, for one. Publication of committee report meetings on the Wilson website, communicated in such a way on the website that it's easy to find in advance of any board meetings. Publication of the board meeting minutes and the agenda at least 48 hours prior to every board meeting. I think that we need to be more, I'm at every football game, home or away. At many sporting events, that's our job, is to talk to people, to listen to them, hear what they're saying. Because sometimes they hear things that isn't true, and sometimes they hear things that I didn't know about that I need to find out. So we've got to engage people more. And that we have to use, and the only way you can really do that is getting out there. I think if we did as a board, whether lunchtime coffees or evening coffees once a month would be a good idea as a board to reach out monthly. Focus groups on specific issues that we're looking for or looking into doing with various stakeholders, whether in the professional staff and community, is other ways to be more transparent. Thank you.
Go ahead, Ms. Ellis.
I would suggest that an annual district webinar or meeting be held at the beginning of the school year on how to navigate the school district website to obtain information. For someone who is used to accessing resources on the internet, the current Wilson website is rather intuitive. However, for someone who is not as computer savvy, a written tutorial with step-by-step directions on accessing the information would be helpful to our community members. Another suggestion would be to update the Facebook page at Wilson School District with an events page that includes upcoming events. Currently, only past events are visible. Lastly, I would suggest that there be another back-to-school bash for the community, in addition to the Wilson Education Foundation back-to-school bash, which costs $75 a ticket. Although the money goes to a very worthwhile cause, the price of the event may deter community members who cannot afford to go to the event, but would still like to interact with the district employees and board members. I would like to see a second event added that is affordable for all community members, possibly by donation, to be held at the high school as a means of bridging the gap and increasing communications between our district and our stakeholders.
Ms. Coker?
For making sure that the committee meeting minutes are available online right next to the school board meeting minutes. If the real work is done in committees, then we as a community should have open access to that work. I would also like residents to have access to anything that the school board members have access to, obviously with the exclusion of confidential personnel matters. When I attend school board meetings and a piece of information that they are voting on says "see attached," I am slightly frustrated because I don't have attached. This information should be available to residents before the meeting so they are better prepared to speak on items that are to be discussed during the meeting. When the board has an initiative that they're planning on moving forward with, especially one that comes with a high price tag, it would be advantageous to have a presentation on the behind-the-scenes work that is being done for the project. A simple explanation that it's going to be great is not enough. I've been to every school board meeting since February, with the exception of 2 over the summer. I can remember 2 or 3 meetings that lasted longer than half an hour. The purpose of the board meeting is to share the work and open the floor to discussion before major votes are taken. Without the proper amount of information on the topics, how are community members supposed to know what's going on? Residents that take the time to attend the meetings shouldn't leave feeling that it was a waste of that valuable time.
Okay, Mr. Case?
This topic with regard to transparency is one of the reasons why I started getting involved in looking into being on the school board. I'm not going to repeat everyone who stole my thunder with regards to that, but I do feel minutes and the agenda should be included in our board minutes. There's a perception, and I don't feel there's anything nefarious going on. You know, I'm not taking that person, I'm just throwing it out there, but there's a perception that has to be managed to the public with regards to subcommittee reports and things like that. So what I would like to see added, other than what everyone else has said, is that during a school board meeting, a little bit of, I wouldn't say debate, but hey, here are the issues that we've looked at. This is why we've made some of these decisions in the minutes, instead of just, this was the decision. Because if you don't know why, you start wondering, and that perception starts creeping away in the public realm of why they do that. So I would just add that. Along with those lines, I feel I'm a little torn, and I haven't really decided yet whether I'm probably going to take my webpage down after the election, one way or the other, only because I really do feel like once everyone is elected, we should have one voice, and that voice has come from Karen, who's done a wonderful job of really showing Wilson this is our message. I don't think it's a great thing for the district to have 9 people with different messages of their perspective of the school board. So there is something that, depending on what happens with the election, the board can talk about going forward. So just a couple of my ideas. But managing the perception is key.
Thank you. Dr. Kennedy.
I would encourage public comments at school board meetings and strive to make more aspects of the meeting open for public discussion instead of the feeling that everything is said and done prior to the board meetings taking place. I'm hoping, as well as some of the other members are, that the new district website will help with making district information easier to find. Again, I think that's using social media to help spread information can be also very important in this process. We need to make the community feel wanted and heard at school board meetings. We need to change the culture of school board meetings from adversarial to community building. I think right now we need to make it so that people don't come out feeling that the meetings are worthless. All they need to do is read the minutes and they'll get all the information that they would, even more than by attending the meetings, since the minutes aren't even at the meetings anymore, other than on the thing, and then they don't even slide them down. Inviting community members to truly be part of the decision-making process is integral to gaining back the community's trust. I would like to open up meetings to the concerns of existing groups, such as homeschool association meetings and PTAs. And I think it would be a good idea to create community groups such as a parent advisory council, where feedback on a multitude of topics, such as student anxiety, could be examined and reported on. And it would encourage more community interaction with the board, increase trust in the board, and it would help make the school district information more widely available.
All right, thank you all. Now, the next question is, Wilson has grown into a district with a very diverse student body, that's racially and economically. Do you have any ideas how the district can help the students and staff become educated about these differences, and how the district can help make all students feel safe? So, Ms. Ellis, you're first.
My suggestion would be to have annual programs to discuss diversity within the classroom, preferably a media presentation followed by discussion in the classroom for younger students in grades K through 3, and for students in grades 4 through 12, a media presentation in the classroom, then followed by a presentation in the auditorium with people speaking of their own experiences. What the students learn within the walls of our schools will help to mold their attitudes and actions outside of the school as well. My suggestion on how we can help to make all students feel safe is that we be proactive instead of reactive. We need to look at what is happening in other districts and begin to address those issues within our own district. We need to make it known that bullying of any kind is not a valid form of expression in our school district.
Ms. Cocker?
I had a little bit of a problem answering this because I don't understand how our district becoming more diverse correlates to students feeling unsafe. The diversity of our student body should be celebrated. I see a diverse student population as an asset to our district, and we should be celebrating each other's different traditions and backgrounds, and we should encourage our teachers and students to learn something new about someone every day. I would hope that all students feel safe in our schools. The district goes to great measures to ensure that our school buildings are secure during the day and that students' emotional well-being is taken into consideration alongside with their educational needs. There are many ways to make connections between students of different backgrounds. I recall a lunch program where students are assigned seats to eat with different people every day of a given week. And this would be most beneficial in high school, where many students have already created their core groups of friends. In the middle schools, teachers work on teams, so it would be relatively easy to create activities within their own team to encourage students to share their own backgrounds and bring artifacts in to share their family traditions. Elementary students are so eager to learn and have specials classes, one in particular, social citizenship, where they already learn to appreciate each other's differences and how to interact with each other in a social manner and deal with problems and challenges together. If there are teachers and students that are concerned about safety or diversity, again, not that these two issues are related, I suggest that they talk to one of the amazing school counselors for more ideas on how to handle the situations.
Okay, Mr. Case.
Thank you. We have a diverse district. We also have a zero tolerance weapons program, bully educational programs. supportive staff, watchdog dad, security at the high school. None of these things solve the fear of the unknown and also understanding the perspectives of others who are different than us. So I'm a big believer in taking advantage of all the clubs and sports and opportunities here at Wilson where you meet people that are outside of what you normally are accustomed to doing. My son plays blacktop basketball in the Center City, Reading, Pennsylvania, as many kids do here in Wilson. He also has played baseball with the Olivet Boys of Reading, where he has, where we drive in as a team and combine teams with kids from another area of Reading, and we don't bring our $200 bats and our $100 gloves in. We share the gloves that the Olivet Boys provide for the folks. So when you're leaving that, these kids are great baseball players, but when you're leaving that after a game and you had a great time meeting these kids and you're going past some homes in Reading, Pennsylvania, you're having those conversations with your kid about the kid you just played with, that he may be living there. He may have to act tough for a reason in your school. There's nothing to be afraid of, but walk in the shoes of somebody else and get out, and our teachers should be getting out of the district every now and then and maybe teaching somewhere else for a week or two and having programs like that. And just encouraging diversity and getting out of our Wilson School District and learning about other people. With that being said, I understand we used to have a welcome wagon here at Wilson, some sort of an orientation program for students and parents moving into the district. I think that would be a great opportunity to maybe have other kids help with that program. And I also spoke to a school district, a school board member from Twin Valley, where they have kids programs where they use honor students and they use mentoring programs and counseling with other students, student to student, which has been very helpful. Thank you. So I would embrace if we had something like that.
Time's up.
Thank you.
Dr. Kennedy.
As an undergraduate, one of my concentrations was in urban education, and I did part of my fieldwork at Lowers Park Elementary in Reading and part of my student teaching in Grover Cleveland Elementary School in North Philadelphia. I also did my graduate work at Penn, which is a de facto urban education institution. I can say without a doubt that teacher education is the most important aspect in teaching diverse learners. Even in the 13 years I taught in the district, there was an absolutely seismic shift in the diversity of the student population. Teachers need to be explicitly trained in how to teach in diverse setting, and the district should be offering in-services and diversity training, as well as encouraging teachers to take classes that would grow their knowledge. I know at KU we have an urban seminar, an ESL certificate, and a new doctorate in transformative teaching. In addition to teacher training, teachers need to be encouraged to spend the first 6 weeks of school focused on community building. If students don't feel safe and accepted at school, learning will not take place. So that time getting to know each other, setting up rules and procedures, and building classroom community is time well spent. We need to make sure that students in our classroom have access to materials that reflect all kinds of students, different colors, ethnicities, religions, and abilities. Students need to access high-quality multicultural literature. They need to read pieces written by authors that include women and minorities. They need to learn from history books that accurately reflect history. Embracing diversity can't stop at the parking lots of our school, though. We need to make all families feel welcome. We need to embed community outreach into our diversity training as well. Unfortunately, some families may not feel comfortable with the changing dynamics of the district. We need to be that beacon of change for our communities. We also need to practice what we preach. We need to hire teachers that reflect the diversity of our students. We need to combat bullying and hate speech, especially based on race, religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation, or ability. We need to acknowledge that not all students are going to come to school with the same background experiences, language development, or skills, and we need to stop treating them like they do. We need to embrace diversity, not standardize it. We need to not put out if the family needs. I have 5 seconds left. I have a really good last line.
Go ahead.
It's good. Okay, thank you. We need to acknowledge that there are many different kinds of families, and that is okay if a family doesn't look just like ours. No matter what culture you're coming from, everybody wants the best for their children.
Mr. Hopp.
What makes Wilson special and unique is our diversity and what we bring the success with it. Wilson has Section 8 federally subsidized housing, and Wilson also has $1 million houses. And those kids are getting in the same classroom, sitting next to one another with the same education, and that is our obligation as a public school system. Because as I've said over and over again, a community is only as good as its public schools. And no, it should never be an excuse, ever, at Wilson, that this isn't a, quote, Wilson kid, because sometimes that's a euphemism for they just moved in from Reading. And you know, they're not to the level. That's unacceptable. And that can never be accepted. You know what that means? We have to be all things to all people. We have to listen and learn. We have to understand their background. We have to understand their viewpoints. We have to understand whether you're coming from inner city Reading or Appalachia in West Virginia. You all have different viewpoints, and we have to know and understand what helps you learn, because that's our obligation. We're not a private school where we can pick and choose who we want and the hard kids, well, you go to public school. The buck stops here, and everyone has to be welcome at our school, and everyone will be welcome and is welcome in our school, because our neighborhoods are just, it's a melting pot of America. The neighborhood I grew up in on Kookoosinga Avenue in Sinking Spring went from first-time home buyers that just finished World War II, such as my grandparents who raised me, to first-time home buyers who are moving out of apartments in the city of Reading. And I am proud to see that happening in my former neighborhoods. And I'm proud that my children go to schools in a melting pot. Thank you.
Well, we're coming to the end of our time together, and we're going to have closing statements, 1 minute only instead of the 2. And I want to thank you all, and especially the students. You've done a great job. And after the closing statements, the candidates have agreed to stay here and answer any specific questions you have for them individually. So our 1 minute closing statement, and I believe Steph Cocker is first on that.
Thank you, Ms. Dietrich, and the Wilson High School Peer Advocacy Club for existing, first of all, and for putting this on. As a student, I was a member of the Key Club because I value community service. As a teacher, I worked on a team for the majority of my career and had to collaborate with other teachers that didn't necessarily have the same viewpoints as myself. And as a parent, I get to see the amazing work that is being done in our schools every day. I truly believe that education is the solution to many of the current social and economic problems that we face as a country. Education can help people make better health decisions. Education can bring people of different backgrounds together. Education can provide better work opportunities. Education is the key to providing a better life for our children. And I am proud to say that I have been involved in education for most of my life. I hope to continue contributing to our amazing school district with your vote on November 7th. Thank you.
Mr. Case.
Thank you for having this, and thank you. At the end of the day, everyone up here will be judged by what the board can accomplish, not what we can do as individuals. I have never heard anyone say that board is absolutely horrible, they don't get it, except for that one person on there. We all rise or fail together, so we have to work with each other. So really it comes down to how well you listen, work with people, and the ability to find common ground and build upon that. Whether people agree or disagree with you, with your viewpoint. So with that being said, if it's not good enough for my child, it's not good enough for Wilson. That's pretty much my mantra. So I'll just go with that. If you want to learn more, edcase.org, and thank you for your time.
Dr. Kennedy.
Everyone for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. As I stated in the last town hall, as part of my job, I get to visit many different schools. I love seeing how there's no one right way to run a classroom. I love meeting other teachers and hearing their great ideas. That experience and the experience of being an educator for 20 years gives me a great perspective and a wealth of background knowledge that will no doubt help my decision making if I am elected to the school board. If elected, I will make sure our children are in the forefront of every decision I make. I will make sure that if we spend money, it will be needed and necessary. I will look for community input and encourage open dialogue before decisions are made. I will only vote to hire truly qualified individuals to become part of the Wilson family. I will not be afraid to fight for what is right, even if it's not popular. Thank you again.
Patrick, closing statement.
Thank you for having me. We cannot be successful without being fiscally responsible. And the reason why I say that is because if one stakeholder group at Wilson feels left out, then the house of cards will fall. That's the hard part of governing. We can make promises, but then when the rubber hits the road, you got to make it work. And the only way we can do that is being fiscally responsible. And fiscally responsible doesn't mean don't spend money. Fiscally responsible means spend your money in a targeted way with proven programs through data that works. Because there's only so much of that pie, and we have to make it work because it is unacceptable not to be great at Wilson. And if I'm reelected, I will promise you every single decision I make will be to help make us great. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Ellis.
I want to thank everyone for their involvement in organizing tonight's town hall meeting. I'm grateful for everything that the Wilson School District has done for me and my family. I now look forward to the opportunity to give back to our district. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me via my Facebook page or via my email address, BeckyEllis@wilsonsb@gmail.com. Thank you.
Okay, remember that your voice is your vote, and November 7th, remember to go to the polls and say something. So thank you very much, and the candidates are here to answer your questions.